name's Jaime Lane, and my research title was Identifying Sources of Stress Among Athletic Training Students, which was the original study. Alright, so far I'm going to go over what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to give you my research question, what stress is, types of stress, who my subjects were, the instruments that I used, the procedure, and then into my results. So, when it comes to athletic training students, what really causes their stress? Is it the scheduled clinical hours, balancing homework and studying, any other outside activities that they use? So my research question was, what causes their stress? So what is stress? My definition of stress is when an individual cannot handle certain situations, such as school, homework, relationships, and again, any other outside activities. One of my main sources, which was Clement, he gave 3 types of stress, which are cognitive, somatic, and behavioral, and he defined them for you. He said cognitive stress symptoms are often limited to one's thought, while somatic is symptoms of psychological responses, and while behavioral is how one responds to stress. And my subjects were the athletic training program students. There's 30 students that I handed out my survey to, and the age range was from 18 to 22. The instrument that I used was the 25-item quick stress questionnaire. The actual survey is broken into 3 separate parts. The first gives demographic questions, and then following the QSQ, which has, these are like the topics that you would rank your answer from 1 to 9, 1 being the less, like you're less stressed, 5 being moderate, and then 9 being that you're more stressed. And then the last was a brief cope questionnaire, which went into more of like how you manage your stress, and it was ranked from 1 to 4, and 1 was I haven't done anything at all, and 4 was I'm doing the most that I can to get help or to handle your stress better. And then my procedure, first I had to get my subjects to sign a consent form, which would tell them basically how the study was going, that it was an online survey that would take less than 20 minutes to do. They were only going to do it once, and they had a specific date and time to get it done. And then I took certain questions from the QSQ and put some of my questions in there as well to kind of make it more of my own. And again, they had to rank 1 through 9 with their stress levels. Did an online survey, which I emailed all the students and gave them the link. And my limitations for this topic was I believe that my questions could have been a little more specific, such as asking how many clinical hours one gets and how they deal with their stress. I should have made it, instead of a free response, had choices, because all of the answers were kind of like all over the place. Also, I think the number of participants, if I would have had my survey conducted at a earlier time, I could have broadened my survey like I wanted to with my research. Because I didn't want to focus just at Emory and Henry, I wanted to focus at other colleges, and even going for future references, you could do between Division 1, 2, and 3 athletic training programs and kind of see if a Division 1 is more, like their program is more stressed than like ours here. Also, being where it was online, I don't think that everyone took it seriously, and then also they just wanted to hurry up and get it done, and so that kind of altered with my results. And then my results here, I have right here where it's balancing the academic work and scheduled clinical hours to academic work, so you can see where the means, they're really close in numbers. And then, over here where it has balancing the work, you have the number of people that responded, and so 2 people thought balancing homework and scheduled clinical hours was 9, so that was the most extreme stress. Then with academic work, you can see over here as well that it was in the moderate range because you had more 6s and 7s. And then back up here, 8, they still thought balancing everything was pretty stressful. Then I compared scheduled clinical hours to their course load, which is a huge difference with the mean. And then with the clinical hours, they said, it's still pretty stressful, but not as bad. It's still in the moderate. And then with their course load, it wasn't stressful at all because they were more 3. So how many credit hours they took really didn't stress them out. And then my main point was the overall stress and then balancing. Again, you can see the balancing has more, it's more high. And then when you go just to focus on overall stress, it's more still like moderate stress level, and then balancing again. There. And then, so based on my results, this is important information because the number of clinical hours or scheduled clinical hours and course load showed pretty high numbers, which I think, that being said, the athletic training staff and students are both kind of at a fall for this, because I think the athletic training, like the certified athletic trainers, need to take into consideration of like individuals with their course load to scheduled clinical hours, but then also the students need to realize that this is a very time-consuming major. So then they need to learn how to better like relieve their stress where they're not freaking out as much. So, any questions?
I don't remember on the survey, did it look at athletes versus non-athletes or not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Because it just focused on the students, so
Right.
it didn't. I mean, that's something I probably could have done better. Again, with my questioning, I could have put, "Are you an athlete or non-athlete?" Because I feel like the athletes probably would have they have more on their plate, therefore they're probably a little more stressed than non-athletes.